See, that's how we're all official with stuff. Oh, hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kick Ashery. This guy right here is Dale Maxwell. What is Kick Ashery, real quick? Kick Ashery is really my opportunity to reach out to the people in my life, to talk to them, to learn from them, to brag on them, to kind of share their story. And this started not too long ago, and it's turned into something amazing and incredible. Who do I have on today? I have the one, the only Karen Utter, who is a complete badass, and she's the funniest, craziest kid I've ever met. I love her family to death, and she has given me so much. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to learn a little bit more about Karen. And Karen, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Dale. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Okay, who are you? What do you do? Give us your elevator pitch. What is that?
The elevator pitch. Okay, let's see. Well, my name is Karen Utter. I worked 36 years in the telecommunication industry as a sales support manager. After a 30-year marriage ended with the death of my husband due to cancer, I needed a change in my life, and I walked away from a 36-year career to go work for Alaska Airlines. And I've been there for a little over a year, just loving it. Biggest adventure of my life. I'm a 4-H mom. I'm a grandma. I'm a saleswoman, a businesswoman, entrepreneur. I love God with all my heart. I'm just a crazy person. And you know me in 4-H. Dale, 4-H, you and I go way back in 4-H. And
That
so pretty
that
much
is
that's
true.
it.
Well, that's how we met each other.
I
Is
know. 2004.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, 2004.
Holy crap! How
I
does
know.
how does that even work?
We're,
Good morning, Summer. Thanks for hanging out with us. I love Summer. She's amazing.
oh my gosh,
Absolutely
she's
amazing.
amazing.
Okay, so we met through 4-H 50,000 years ago, and I actually met you through your kids.
Through Daniel.
Yeah, through Daniel at Teen
Hmm.
Conference,
Yeah, Daniel brought you into our 4-H family.
and I do believe he forgot something. I'm trying to remember.
I would believe it would be his suitcase.
Yeah, and I brought it down to him or something. I can't remember
He got on the
exactly.
bus and left his suitcase in the parking lot, and you drove it over. And that
Yeah,
was the first time I met you,
yeah,
was when you
yeah, yeah.
delivered his suitcase.
I love looking back at how people connect and how we all either are introduced to each other or we build our relationships. And you and I, over this period of time, have gone from just 4-H acquaintances to leaders in different programs throughout the state,
Hmm.
and working together in different aspects. I'll tell you what, Karen, the things that I respect about you is a list this long. But what you have really helped me do is a lot of times not giving two shits about what other people think, and just and moving on what you have seen in me. As an adult, you've given me a lot of courage, and you've talked me through a lot of things, and you've been probably one of the biggest cheerleaders for the things that I've done over time of anyone in my life. And for that, I can never repay you,
Oh,
and I can never thank
thank
you
you, Dale.
enough. And especially with my body language stuff, you jumped in, you're like, holy crap, this stuff's great. And you're like, you're going to come do this for my company, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I mean, you even took me up to Seattle to do a training up there, and it was incredible. And so, once again, thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're welcome. Thank you,
Thank you
Dale. You've
so
done
much.
the same for me. You and
Well,
I had an instant connection the first day we met, and we were destined to work together. We knew that from the beginning. And now, 14 years later, we're still working together.
yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
know,
you haven't disowned me yet, so
no,
I'm taking that
and vice
as a
versa. But that's a two way street. You've walked me through so much, and with everything that I've gone through, especially in the last 5 years, walking through the cancer and the illness and the sickness and the death of my husband, you have been one of my greatest supporters and given me the courage to carry on when all I wanted to do was quit.
yeah.
And so it's a mutual admiration society here.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know for a fact there was times when neither one of us wanted to pick up that phone call when we saw each other's name on there. We're like,
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know if I want to deal with this right now.
You are that one that kicks me in the face and says, crap or get off the pot. And you push me. You push me to do things that I never would have done. And you have helped me grow as a person as well. It's just been an awesome time.
Well, and to see the crap that you've gone through over the last number of years and you coming out of the other end of your husband's illnesses, it wasn't just cancer. I mean, that was a long road,
Everyone,
you know,
yeah, it was.
for many different things. And some of the stuff that you and your family have gone through since that time is an inspiration, to say the least, to see you deal with those things and come out on the other end. It's not easy.
No, it's been a road. But honestly, what carries me through is my faith and my friends.
Absolutely.
And that is truly what has walked me through. And I tell people all the time, it's not about religion, it's not about that, it's just about having faith in something bigger than myself.
Right.
And the faith that I have in God, I never try to push that on anybody else, but it is truly all that has gotten me through.
Well, I have to be honest, and I've told you this many times, but there's only a few people in my life that has a direct phone number to God. You don't dial extensions. You just dial him up, and he answers whatever you
No.
talk about. But the thing that I love, and I think one of the reasons you and I get along so well, is that we both are just foul-minded, foul-mouthed, yet you have this connection that very few people I know of has. And the way you balance the crazy shit in life and your faith is, I don't know how you do it. I don't understand it. I don't know if I ever will. And I don't have to. But your ability to connect with people on any level, your ability to talk to Bible thumpers, to evangelists, to the drunkard on the street, whomever, your ability to talk to them and connect to them it's incredible. And where I really seen that was during my years in 4-H and doing the team leadership programs
Mm-hmm.
and team conference, and that in itself, having the ability to connect with teams as an adult, and having them trust you with their stories, with their trials, with their tribulations, with all these things, and seeing that connection that you have with them, and not just during that short window that we have them in our physical being, but you stay with them for the long haul. And you've built some incredible relationships over the years just by doing that. And
They're like my kids.
yeah,
I think people misunderstand teenagers. Why are they so scared of them? They just want to be heard, and they want to know that someone cares, and they want someone to listen. And if you could take them in and just love them, listen to them, regardless to what their life walks through. It's not my job to tell them that they're wrong, or it's just not my job. My
right.
job is to just love them and let them talk. And if I am allowed the opportunity to guide them in some way that I think would better them, I offer that. If they accept it, great. If they don't, that's okay too. Because I want them to know, I truly believe that we as adults and humans, we just need to love people where they're at. It's not our job to tell people what they're doing wrong. It's our job to just love them. And it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference.
Now
You
let
know,
me ask
I'm
you this. Let me ask you this is, and this might be a squirrely hole to run down, but in this scenario, when we're talking about kids, how much, how am I trying to say this? What's our level of self-love that we need to have, or maybe self-confidence that we have to show these scary kids love?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like they're not scary.
Right.
The road I've walked on. I mean, with the kids that I've been involved with from every walk of life, from the drug addicts to, the suicidal, the runaways, and it's okay. It's like I have nothing to lose. They have everything to lose. And if I can jump in there and be a support in their life some way, somehow, and just love them, it has not been easy. There's been times that I have been rejected, and but you know what? I just hold them and love them anyway. And I don't know. I just think that you just have to believe in the person. It's not about
Right.
me, it's about them.
Yeah.
And I see them all as valuable human beings. Even when they think they're nothing and they think that they're the scum of the earth, I tell them we're all amazing human beings. And I see them. This is one of the gifts that God gave me. And it's something that I've shared with you a lot of times, is that God has given me the ability to see people for who they are supposed to be, not who they choose to be. And sometimes that's a very dangerous gift because I get hurt and I set myself up to be taken advantage of. But I refuse to change because I will always look at people for who they are supposed to be and who God wants them to be, and not who they choose to be when they're walking in a road they shouldn't be on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've always done in my own children. And even if it's not a bad road, like for you, I saw greatness in you the first time I met you. And you and I've had many conversations about that. And I've always known that you were better than what you chose to be. And look at you now. Look at you now. You are absolutely amazing. I've seen you go through so much, and you are a phenomenal human being. And to see this fruition come to, I mean, it's amazing watching you grow. I feel like a proud mama.
Well, and part of that also, and thank you very much. One of my things that I'm working on is accepting accolades, and that's something I've never been
Yeah, we've
been,
talked
been
about
good
that
at it.
too.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, we
absolutely.
have.
And part of this though also is tough love. And whether we're talking about teens, whether we're talking about our own family, whether we're talking about accountability, is love comes in lots of forms.
Yep.
And I've always been a believer that tough love is one of the hardest loves, because it's easy to love on someone and tell them they're amazing and everything. But like what you're saying is that it hurts and it's hard when we see what is better, when we see what we see in them, what they don't see in them.
That's right.
Right. Because that's
That is
been
true.
for me. Others have been that for me. You've been that for me.
You've been that for
And
me.
absolutely. And so that's one of my, I'm not as intuitive as you are, yet when I see something in someone, I have this hard time at keeping my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard, because you're right. You can get let down. You can get kicked in the teeth. You can be told many, many bad, horrible things. But at the end of the day, that's the right thing to say and do.
Right. Well, you and I have spent many hours sitting up with kids that were contemplating suicide and coming out of drug addictions and sexual abuse, and the things that we've walked through with these kids. And 14 years later, after being in this road with you and with Andy Smith and Robin Hopper, and just that amazing group of people that we are, and we just sat there and look at these kids now. I'm looking
Yeah.
at these children now who are adults and who are married and successful in life. And it's just awesome to watch over the years and see them grow.
Oh, it's absolutely
It's
mind-bending.
phenomenal to know where they came from and where they are. And it's just awesome. It's awesome to be a part of that. It's awesome to watch that. And it's awesome to just see that cycle, because now they're becoming 4-H leaders and they're becoming parents and they're reaching out and they're touching others. And I see it in my own son, Daniel. I look at how he has nurtured other people and how people come to him. All of that came from that kid that left his suitcase 14 years ago to this amazing man that he is growing up to be. It's just phenomenal. And you had a lot to do with that. And I see that in my daughter. I see her.
Yeah.
Same thing. I look at the human being that she has become, and I'm just like, wow, that baked in my oven. I'm just like, she's amazing. And if people like you and Andy and Robin and Debbie and the people that spoke into my kids' life, I'm forever grateful.
Mm-hmm. And it's incredibly humbling to look at. Andy Smith and I had a conversation on this 3 weeks ago. It's incredibly humbling to see the legacy of leadership, the legacy of impact,
Right.
that, very important people did this for me. And so I've taken it upon myself to forward that information on to others. And it's incredible how these lessons just become ingrained and
Right.
intertwined, and we just automatically pass it forward. And that is incredible to me. And I do want to touch on a project you're working on right now. And if you don't mind, share a little bit about Risen from the Ashes,
Oh, okay.
because that is in itself is an incredible story. And if you don't want to get too in depth into it, that's perfectly fine. But tell me a little bit about what Risen from the Ashes is. What are you going? What are you doing with that?
Well, thanks to you having a long, heartfelt conversation with me one night, and with me ending up in tears and pouring my heart out. And you said something to me that night that just hit me. I've known for a long time that God's called me into a ministry, and not necessarily a ministry, but a walk in life that I'm supposed to do. And one of the things, even before my husband died, I have felt this call for many years. And during many of our life coach sessions, we've talked about this at Sherry's and Denny's. And I've always known that I'm supposed to go out and be a speaker. And I didn't realize all of the things that were going to transpire. I didn't realize my husband was going to get cancer and walk through that era of life. But one of the things as I walked through everything, I'm strong. I'm a very strong person.
Yes, you
But
are.
this last 3 years kicked my butt. And the last year of my life was the worst year ever since my husband died. Didn't It caught me off guard because I've always been a pillar of strength and I can walk through anything. But some things transpired over the last 12 months that broke me. Absolutely broke me. Just harsh judgment and treatment of people that I thought loved me. Just I was broken. And I remember telling you how I was at my lowest that I've ever been, to the point that I was begging God to take me home. And you and I talked, and you said something to me. You said, "You're a phoenix." And all I could think of was, the heck's a phoenix, Dale? Like, what does that mean? I'm like, were you flipping me the bird? I'm like, I didn't know what you were saying. And when you explained to me about the mythological bird, about the phoenix being resorted to ashes and then rising from the ashes to conquer, something struck a chord in me with that. Just that little thing that you said. And so you've been pushing me to do this Risen from the Ashes website, to have conversations, because here's the reality. Every single person has a story. Everybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a millionaire or if you are homeless. We all have a story. And we all walk through pain in our lives. That's just reality. But if we don't share our stories and we don't reach out and help others, then our pain is in vain. And that's what this is all about. So what I want to do is I'm going to start talking to people who have risen from the ashes, not necessarily from complete devastation, but who have overcome unsurmountable obstacles and are still choosing to succeed. And that's what this is going to be about. It's just going to be conversations just like you and I are having right now with overcomers. And I want to get the word out. I want people to share their stories. I want us to support each other, to reach out and just see where it goes. That's
That's
kind of what it
incredible.
is.
Here's what I want everyone to do: is Risen from the Ashes. It's a Facebook group or a Facebook page. Please share this right now. Please share it. Click the share button at the bottom. Write in that you shared it, so we can give Karen a little bit more support. And then after we're finished here, Karen, do you mind putting that contact information in the comments
Oh,
so people can
not at
jump
all.
over and do it? You and I are actually having a chat tomorrow
Yep, you're my first
over.
guest.
There you
My
go.
first guest tomorrow.
I'm
Woohoo! The
setting the bar
awesome
low,
Dale.
baby. So please comment, tell
Oh,
us what your thoughts are on what Karen's doing, and give her some support right here, right now. And please
I
share as
appreciate it.
well. This does a couple things, everyone, is that I'm learning the process as well. Doing these live broadcasts and sharing in comments helps us get this out to more people. So I appreciate that. So Karen, you're also, so Risen from the Ashes is a Facebook page. You're doing interviews with, and what's the word, what's the term you use for these folks?
I like overcomers.
Overcomers.
Overcomers. So many people have been through a lot, and everybody's story is unique. And nobody's better than anybody else. Nobody's story is more horrific than anybody else. I don't think my story is any different than anybody else's. But you know what? It's everybody has a story. Maybe it's a broken marriage. Maybe it's a job loss. I mean, who knows? It could be a death. I mean, we don't know. We're all overcomers. And when we choose to walk out of the devastation and carry on in life and be the best that we can be, then that needs to be shared, because we need to encourage others to be the best that they can be. And we need to encourage each other.
And I don't feel, and you and I had a quick conversation about this the other day. I don't feel like I have a devastating story. I have stories, and you know me, I like saying, I love telling stories. But I don't feel like my story is as devastating as what you went through. But with that said, though, is um, what I've learned through this process and doing my daily drive or my daily doses now for almost 4 years, you know, I've learned that people feed back and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize other people are going through,
Right.
to some, like monumental issues, and to some that it's simple enough, but it brings them down enough that they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone.
Right.
And that's why I'm so excited for your
That's what we
project.
need to know. We need to know that we're
Exactly.
not alone.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so excited for your project, because you're going to be able to share some stories out to the world that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that's dealt
Hmm.
with this. Or,
Right. That's
you know
true.
what, Karen went through all of this craziness, and look at her now. She's writing a book, and she's doing a program, and she's got a job that she absolutely loves, and her,
Yeah.
all of these things. And that's what I love about this. And I'm super stoked for you. And I'm super proud that you're jumping
Oh,
out and
thank
doing
you.
something that a year ago, you and I had these very same conversations. And you told me not just no, but hell no, I am not doing this shit.
That's true. I did.
And look at you. You finally just owned it. And you're like, screw it. I'm going for it.
Yeah. Well, it was either that or you wouldn't get off my back. No. Like, I got to do this to shut this guy up. No, I'm just
Okay,
kidding.
so there's a little bit of truth to that. There's some truth to that. I
Yeah,
won't
you're
lie.
kind of like a bad dream, Dale. You just keep reoccurring. No, but you're a great dream, so it's awesome.
As long as
Sometimes a
no.
nightmare, but that's okay. No.
I actually worked with a kid. I was like, he'd say, "How you doing, Dale?" I said, "I'm just living the dream," and he'd look at me deadpan. He looked at me in the eye. And he's like, "You realize nightmares are dreams too, right?"
That's awesome. What was Bruce's favorite saying? Everybody would say to Bruce, "How you doing?" And he said, "If I was any better, I'd be in heaven."
There you go.
And and now look where he's at.
Yep,
So,
absolutely,
yep.
absolutely. So with that, we've got about 10-ish minutes
Okay.
left. Time just flies. So, what are some advice, or give us kind of a, if someone is struggling, they feel that they've hit the bottom, um, and to each of us, that bottom is something different.
Right.
When someone's laying there going, I'm done, I'm just done, what do you tell people? What little piece of positive push do you use?
It just depends on the person. It depends on the situation. But the bottom line is, when I was sitting in my garage with the car running and I watched the garage door shut down, and all I could think of was how easy it would be to just go to sleep and wake up with my husband. At that point, lowest I've ever been in my life. And you have to listen to that still small voice, because that voice inside said, no, you still have work to do. And the biggest thing is, you touched on it, and so did your guest the other day. We've got to stop looking at the negatives. We have to stop focusing on the things that are bad in our lives and focus on the wins. And maybe we have 15 bads and 2 wins. Why do we focus on the 15 bads? Why can't we focus on the 2 wins? And that's so monumental in overcoming adversity and overcoming devastation. I being self-absorbed and selfish in our thoughts. I'm sitting in that garage like that was selfish. And it truly was. And you pointed that out, and so did Nancy Ray. And it's like, and it's true. We get so wrapped up in our own self misery that we forget why we're here. And we forget that we have children, and we have grandchildren, we have friends, we have business associates, and we have to figure out a way to overcome what we're doing, not succumb to it. And we, more times than not, because of our self-doubt, and we just succumb, and
Yeah.
we feel defeated. And when we allow that defeat to take us over, then we can't move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's not easy. I will not tell a single person in the world that it's easy. It's harder than crap. But when you do it, I look at the last 12 months of my life, And I look at where I'm at now, and I never would have believed that I would be where I am today, even 6 months ago. I mean, with my job, how do I get the most fantastic, amazing job in the history of life? And how everything transitioned because I never gave up.
Yep.
And that's, you have to have that tenacity. If you don't have the tenacity to persevere, then you will fall.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's just, you have to celebrate the wins. If you don't celebrate the wins, you will be consumed with the losses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we all,
Absolutely.
that seems to be the theme, of your shows, of your guests. And it's a theme for a reason, because it's truth.
Hmm.
It's not
Oh,
that we're
I'm
all
with you
just
on
out
that.
here saying it. It's just straight up truth.
I'm absolutely with you on that one. And something that I've been saying for a very, 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 very long time is that the right decision or the right path and the easy decision or the easy path are not the
Hmm.
same thing,
Not at
are
all.
usually never the same thing, and the right thing is usually the harder thing to do,
It
usually,
is.
and especially when it comes to big life things, it's almost always the
Right.
harder path.
And you
And
have to go beyond your comfort zone. People don't want
absolutely.
to do that. It doesn't feel good. Well, you know what? It doesn't. It doesn't
Right.
feel good.
But the conversation, and this is a whole other discussion for another day, but, I'll plant this seed is that, we think, okay, life needs to be easier. Life needs to, what? I agree. I wish life was easier. I wish I could wake
Right.
up in the morning, be perfectly happy, go do happy things, go to bed happy, and be happy, happy, happy. Guess what? To
That's not real.
happy, you need to put some work in. You know, we've got to do some things that are not comfortable. And that's the crux of the thing is that we tend to be more comfortable, and
Right.
we can be comfortable with shit situations as much as we can be
Hmm.
comfortable with amazing situations.
It's true.
And that's what's
Well, and the
bothers me.
reality is, if you're not walking outside of your comfort zone, you're not growing.
Amen.
I mean, because if you are just sitting back and you think, oh, I'm just going to, this is good, I'm comfortable. No, you're not growing. The way
Yep.
you're going to grow is to step outside of that comfort zone. And it all starts with that first step.
Yep.
And it's scary and it's uncertain and you have no idea where you're going to fall. But if you
Hmm.
don't take that first step, you'll never know. And how many times do we live our lives being fearful?
Yep.
And it's true. We're so afraid of failure. So what? So what?
Oh,
How
I've
many
been.
times how many times have we failed? Countless, countless times. But the reality is, well, that didn't work. Let's try to I mean, you can't give up because you fail. You just have to find a different angle.
Yep.
And it's so
Yep.
true. And I've learned that through walking through everything in my life. And especially even with the cancer, people would say to me, how can you walk through this? How can you be so joyful? And how can you be so happy? It's so simple. Joy is a choice. Because when I wake up every day, I do not wake up thinking, wow, I'm going to, this is awesome. No, it's a choice. I have a decision to make when I wake up. Am I going to be a grouch? Am I going to be pissed off and angry and mad at the world and the situation? Or am I going to be happy and joyful and look for blessings in everything I can?
There you go.
And I'll tell you what, the second option is way better.
And it's harder.
It is harder. And do I feel like smiling every day? No. And do I cry often and grieve the loss of my husband and miss him terribly? Yes. But you know what? He's not here. I am.
Yep.
And so I have to continue on and I have to continue to walk in joy. And I have to walk in the God given strengths that he's given me to help others find their strength.
How you tell me real quick? How pissed would Bruce be if you decided to wake up every day pissed off at the
Oh
world?
my gosh, you know him. Dude, he'd probably come back and haunt me or something. I'm not even sure if I believe in that, but he would find a way. But,
Would.
that even when he left, like we talked about that, and he said, I promised him that I would not quit because he was so concerned about that. And he said, I need you to move on. I want you to find someone. I don't want you to be alone. I mean, we talked about everything before he left. And I want to honor that and honor him because he was such a phenomenal human being.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Absolutely. I miss him. I miss him
I
dearly.
do.
I really do. So we're going to call that our time. You and
Awesome.
I could go for another 2 hours for sure. But Karen, would you be willing to come back on?
Oh,
and
for sure. Yeah, because we
expand.
totally have to talk about body language. We got to hit that sometime.
Actually, you and I,
Because,
yes, yes, absolutely. And I'm still working on that project.
yeah,
It's that's a daunting project, as you and I have talked
yeah.
about many times, and we're getting there though.
Well, just the
We're
way your body language and sales and my history with that. And I mean, that's something that you got to get out there too, because it's,
absolutely.
the living proof that happened to my sales team when we implemented your, you know,
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. There was no better documentation than what you and I did
yeah.
for your team, and it started with you. You're a great leader. You're a great inspiration to the people around you, and that is paramount to the success of any team. So that's a whole nother conversation. So Summer, thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
so
being on
much.
as always. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Mountain. Is that correct? Is that our schedule for tomorrow?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. Risen from the Ashes. Once again, Karen's going to put the link down below so then that way you guys can jump over there. Make sure that you like and follow her page. Make sure you get on so that all of her scheduled stuff, you guys can be on it. With that, Karen, any last little tidbits you want to throw out to people?
No, just thank you so much. Live every day like it's your last. Cherish your loved ones. Always tell people that you love them, and choose joy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the clicky clack of your dogs running around the
Oh my
table.
gosh, I
I
know,
love it.
right? That's
I
because
absolutely
they
love
haven't
it.
seen mom in 9 days and they're freaking out because I'm not paying attention to them.
Well, dogs, she's mine for the next 30 seconds. All right, guys. Karen, thank you so much for
No,
being here.
thank
I
you, Dale.
truly
It's been an
appreciate
honor.
you. And hang out just for a minute, Karen.
Okay.
Guys, thank you very much for hanging out with Kick Ashery. I'm continuing to grow this. I'm really looking
Come here.
forward to the next
Come here.
couple of weeks coming up. It seems like this is kind of like my 4-H week because on Thursday I have another amazing 4-H'er that it just influenced the snot out of me, Melody Cower. She's coming up Thursday night. She's a school teacher, so we can't do it in the morning. We have to do it in the evening. So I believe my timetable is 7:30 on Thursday for Melody Cower. I'm super stoked for that. Next week we have a bunch of awesome stuff. I am actually on someone else's next week, so I'm super stoked about that. Guys, thank you so much. We better let Karen go because her dogs are going nuts. Guys, thank you so much. Please share this out. Please add some commentary below. Keep rocking out your day. Keep smiling because somebody's going to need it. I'll talk to you guys soon.